This past Sunday, a protest march took place in the Dominican Republic against illegal Haitian immigration. It took place in Friusa, which is actually very close to the Punta Cana area in the east of the country. Organizers say that the march was planned to raise awareness at the unsustainable current levels of undocumented Haitian immigration, that the government is not acting, and that they wanted to hold the government accountable for resolving the situation. But to an entire nation's shock, police at the march positioned water cannons and began hosing down the crowd, unarmed crowd of regular everyday Dominican citizens, hosed them down through tear gas. There were also a lot of very popular activists and influencers present at the march, Dominicans. The feeling from the march was that there are indeed pockets of the Dominican Republic at this time in which Dominicans are not free to circulate. It's the talk of DR news, and what happened on Sunday, in my opinion, as a journalist, is that it was a turning point, a major turning point for Dominicans, for the Dominican Republic, and the current government of Luis Abinader. It's also bringing to the forefront the issue of tourism and a lot more that is embedded in what happened on Sunday. I want to unpack that. What led to the recent protests? What does it mean for tourism in Punta Cana and in the DR? It's a situation that I believe you should know about if you're interested in all things Dominican Republic, if you're thinking about moving there one day, if you're thinking about investing or buying a home there in the future. I'll admit that for a long time, I've avoided talking about the Haiti-DR issue, and it's because it's such a loaded issue. It's very complex. It goes back years into the history of both countries. And there are also a lot of misconceptions that I've seen over the years about DR Haiti and the two people's relationships with each other. There are a lot of thoughts that it's just about racism, which is very reductive. It's very simplistic, in fact, and inaccurate. The reality is far more complex, and it's shaped by history, by economics, by governance failures on both sides of that island. And today, there's just no ignoring all of that. As you all know, I'm a travel journalist. I'm independent. I don't own any property in the DR. I have no financial interests in tourism directly. I don't own anything. I'm not here to sell you land or real estate. I am here to just share what I know based on facts, on news reports, and what I have learned over the years, 7 years studying and writing about the Dominican Republic from a tourism standpoint, but also traveling the entire country, almost every province over the 7 years, and talking to both Haitians and Dominicans. I've also been to Haiti, by the way. I've been to Port-au-Prince. I've been to Côte des Arcadins, which is a resort area. That was in 2014, and it was just about a week's visit, so very short, but enough to kind of get a glimpse. First, I want to look at the complicated history of each country very briefly and sort of give an overview of how they differ. Second, I want to look at how DR economic growth and Haitian illegal immigration are tied. Third, why the protest started and what was at the root of this particular protest and what's ahead. And four, why this matters for tourism and what you should know for the future. Haiti and the Dominican Republic share the island of Hispaniola, but their histories couldn't be more different. The Spanish colonized what is now today Dominican Republic on the east side of the island of Hispaniola, while the French took over Haiti in the west. This has led to stark differences, obviously, in language, culture, and even religious practices. In 1822, Haiti occupied what is today the Dominican Republic. Yes, Haiti occupied the DR for 22 years. During that time, Dominicans say that Spanish cultural expressions that they had learned and that they had adopted was repressed. Dominican identity was repressed. And to this day, many Dominicans see that period as a really painful chapter of their history. They have long held beliefs, Dominicans do, that the Haitianization of the DR was always the plan, and that it continues even from when it happened in the 19th century. Haitians, on the other hand, remember the 1937 massacre by Dominican dictator Rafael Trujillo, in which tens of thousands, I think even more than 30,000 approximately, Haitians were slaughtered. The scars run deep on both sides. And over time, the two nations couldn't have developed more differently as well. The Dominican Republic built a stable economy, while Haiti has been plagued by political instability, natural disasters, and weak governance. Despite all of these tensions, the Dominican Republic and Haiti's economic future has been tied for decades. Dominican industries, sugar, tourism, construction relied on cheap Haitian labor. This is very well known and documented. What this means is that by 2010, nearly 2 million undocumented Haitians in a country of 11 million were living in the Dominican Republic illegally, according to Human Rights Watch. That number has, you can imagine, grown significantly between 2010, which was the earthquake in Haiti, the devastating earthquake, and 2025. In between, of course, was the assassination of President Jovenel Moise, Haitian President Moise, in 2021, which has only escalated gang violence in Haiti, has turned parts of Haiti into lawless zones, and has increased the number of people who are undocumented coming into the DR because Haitians are also fleeing the violence and just want to live their normal lives, and they've gone in masses into the DR. So there's not even a number for how many undocumented Haitian immigrants there are. Now, I've seen this increase in Haitians in the DR over the years. I have seen also in the Punta Cana area trucks that are packed every morning with Haitian workers being transported to construction sites to build apartments, residences, resorts, etc. It is visible. It is nothing that is hidden. It's out there, and it's very well known. The Dominican Republic has often looked the other way because it has benefited its economy. But this strain has become impossible to ignore. Let's look at some data. Hospitals. As of 2021, according to Dominican Today, nearly 40% of deliveries in Dominican Republic hospitals are to undocumented Haitian nationals. In Haiti, a birth costs approximately $253, the article says, but the Dominican state assumes this cost for undocumented immigrants. Education. Dominican public schools, according to reports, fill up so that there is no space for Dominican kids. It is a fact that the government has denied, but it has been reported in various sources as well as by activists. So why did the protest start? Activists and journalists have reported that there is a particular settlement area called Mata Mosquitos within Friusa that has become a no-go zone for Dominicans. According to protest organizers, these pockets are home to criminal networks that are Dominican and also to gang leaders who fled Haiti and go back and forth between the two countries. Some of them have even been caught on DR territory as recently as this week and spanning back to 2023. Now, why did the march actually happen and why now? The main group that organized the march is called Antigua Orden Dominicana. They're described by Western faculty and outside sources as being a right-wing group that is promoting anti-Haitian policies. But when interviewed in DR outlets, the leader of this group has said that it is simply a nationalist, patriotic group that is seeking to maintain order in the country and make sure that the culture is not erased, that Dominicans are not replaced by Haitians, and that they're simply patriotic citizens trying to save their country. And the march was actually sparked by the alleged kidnapping, this group says, of a Dominican teenager by a Haitian citizen. He took her out of Atomayor, which is a province in the north, and brought her to Friusa. The victim's mother reportedly received threats and was told that if she wanted to get her daughter back, she would have to go into Friusa, as if it were like a separate country. This has ignited outrage among Dominicans. It is what is ultimately sparked this call to meet up on Sunday, March 30, and march down Friusa and show that this is their land, that they can go into areas they want to, and that this illegal behavior will no longer be tolerated. As I said, Dominican police shut it down within half an hour with tear gas, with water cannons, to everyone's surprise, preventing demonstrators from entering fully into Friusa. There were also several activists and influencers who were there who grabbed the footage of what happened and how it was really unprovoked. People were not armed, no one was armed, and they went there in good faith, thinking that they could just march and raise awareness on an issue that the government has failed to address. So this was a breaking point for Dominicans. How could they be prevented from entering parts of their country? What is happening here that there are no-go zones now in the DR? Now, of course, if you're just a regular tourist or you're a visitor to the DR, you're not going to see Mata Mosquitos. You have no business there. You probably wouldn't even know how to get there. And there's really nothing there for you. So of course you wouldn't see this on a day-to-day level. And if you're not living in these areas that are low-income areas, you also wouldn't know the impact of it on your day-to-day life. Now, why does this matter for tourism? Here's where things get complicated. Friusa is where a lot of the tourism workers live, but more particularly large settlements of undocumented Haitian immigrants. They've been there for the past 40 years. The numbers have increased, and Most of them are hired to work in construction projects in the area, including resorts, residences, and more. Punta Cana is the crown jewel of the tourism industry in the Dominican Republic. President Luis Abinader, who comes from a business background, actually has very deep ties to the tourism sector, and he has a vested interest in keeping the region safe and stable. His family owns Grupo Abicor, which is a business conglomerate involved in various sectors, including real estate, construction, and hotel development. There is also the paradox that he is of Lebanese descent. So many Dominicans are now feeling abandoned. They see a government that protects a booming tourism industry, but turns a blind eye to the local population's struggles that they say have been exacerbated due to undocumented Haitian immigrants, more than 2 million of them, and going up, way up beyond that since 2010. They're also asking, well, who is tourism truly benefiting anyway? At a weekly press conference this week following the march, at which President Abinader and the senator for the province of Altagracia, where Punta Cana is located, were present, a journalist actually stood up and asked a very pertinent question. Does tourism come first? Does it precede the nation? There are also reports in the news of police corruption. Sources like Somos Pueblo, who are activists in the country, have reported tips that have come in, as well as footage of police officers actually accepting bribes from undocumented Haitian immigrants to allow them to stay in the country. This even happened immediately after the march. So, is tourism in Punta Cana at risk? Punta Cana remains one of the safest areas in the country, and as I said, you'll never see any of the stuff that's happening unless you go to the protest site. The situation is fluid, however, and it is something that everyone should keep an eye on. The U.S. State Department has already put out a notice about avoiding protest march areas, and they send one. If you're signed up, they send one every time there's a protest that's about to happen, and there's one coming up in April. But Dominicans fear that what is happening with Haiti's gang crisis could well spill into the DR, especially since gang leaders have been caught on DR territory and are obviously able to move in and out of both countries. Without strong enforcement, the worry is that the DR could lose control over parts of its territory in the same way that Haiti has to gang leaders. Others believe the government is finally being held accountable, that it's time that it is held accountable for solutions, and that it cannot continue to put two populations on top of each other, scrambling for the little that they get in resources. They believe it is the only way to prevent a much larger crisis from taking place in the Dominican Republic. But if you ask me a question about what will happen 10 years from now, I'm not sure. It is a situation that I think everyone needs to monitor. I do think that Sunday was a turning point, as I said, and I do think that tourism is coming under the microscope, who it's benefiting or not, and how it is coming to thrive, and why tourism is being put above the interests of everyday Dominican residents. Haiti is also mired in issues. No one has resolved the issue there. The gang violence continues, and there is likely to be continuing impact until that is snuffed out. It will likely spill into the Dominican Republic, and that is what I guess Dominicans are saying they want to avoid happening, and that's why they're holding the government accountable. But here's what I know for sure. It is not true to say that Dominicans and Haitians hate each other. For the most part, my time in the DR over many years is that they just go on with their lives as normal. You will not see anything day to day. Everyone is just busy going to their jobs, making a living, living with their families. And Dominicans and Haitians interact a lot. I have seen this. Many are friends. I mean, it's really inaccurate to say or to think that they hate each other. Now, is there a small percentage of Dominicans, a small percentage of Haitians who have hate for the other? Absolutely. There are people who are like that, just like there are in any other country. You will always have extremists, fascists, whose intentions are in the wrong place. But is it the majority? Absolutely not. I hope that facts that I've shared are really helping to paint the picture of what is happening, why there's tension, and the history of both countries playing a much larger role. The real issue, governments of both countries have failed their people. The elite also have a role in this, but that is a whole other topic. So what my plan is really to bring on speakers from both sides who will help us understand what is happening and maybe share with us their outlook for the future so that you can make better decisions in terms of whether you want to invest in 20 years, whether you want to retire there, etc. As always, thank you so much for watching, and feel free to watch my other videos about the Dominican Republic, including its tourism industry. I will put put all of the links below as well to all of the sources that I cited and to places and influencers and as well as activists that you can follow yourself to see what is happening on the ground. Remember to subscribe and help me grow this channel so that I can bring truth to light in many of these issues surrounding tourism. See you later.